Hey there, David Pereira from Rent to Grow Homes. Excited to bring you our latest deal. This comes in as a referral from a realtor in Cornwall. I've spoken to these tenant buyers and we're in the process actually of qualifying them. So we're not quite done the qualification, but I want to get ahead of it because we do want to move quickly since we've already found a property we think could be a good fit for them. So let me walk you through the story. So a bit about their personal backstory. They both make great income. Combined, they're $115,000 or so, which is great for kind of what they're targeting. The challenge that they ran into was basically sickness in the family. So one member of the couple had cancer. Then both elderly parents got sick, which took some time and took some expenses. And of course, unfortunately, they just fell behind on some of their expenses. And that, of course, hurt their credit score. It forced them to sell their house. So what they're trying to do now is kind of get started again. They are going to be clearing their debts, and they have a path to growing their savings because they make good income. And so we're in the middle of going through the numbers, but assuming this gets approved, this is a nice little 2-year deal for an investor. So let's break down the numbers so you can see sort of how the investor typically would make money on this deal and how I make money and kind of what the split looks like. So they are targeting a home of $320,000 in Alexandria, Ontario. If you're not familiar with Alexandria, it's about 20 minutes outside Cornwall in eastern Ontario. It is large enough to be sort of considered a municipality, so it's not well and septic tanks. It's on proper municipal infrastructure, which is a requirement for our rent-to-own company. And I have no concerns about an appraisal in 2 years of $352,000. The market in Eastern Ontario is going up because it's so affordable. So I'm not concerned about this, about us being able to get this value in a couple of years. So purchase price today being $320. We always assume an annual appreciation of 5% per year. Like I said, this is probably a 2-year deal. If we have to extend it, we can. We just get a 1-year mortgage tacked onto it. The tenant buyer would pay any costs associated with that. But we're going to go in with a 2-year deal. So the investor's in for 20% down, 80% mortgage. Interest rate, we're seeing 4.5s for a 2-year deal. Now, if the investor gets a better deal, there's a bigger profit pie to share. If the investor is able to get a worse interest rate, then the profit pie shrinks a little bit. But 4.5 is kind of what we're targeting. So in terms of what the investor is in for, well, cash to bank is the 20%, so that's the $64,000. Legal is about $3,000. Appraisal is about $600. Land transfer tax is $32.75. I charge a fee up front of $3,000. And then the tenant buyer has skin in the game of $10,000. So we subtract that from this total, and that means the investor is in for $63,875. And that's the number we use to calculate the ROI on this deal. So now let's look at the money coming in and money going out each month. So in terms of money coming in, there is rent we're going to assign of $2,100. And then separately is that savings credit. So this is how they are forced to save for a bigger down payment. And they'll be paying $600 each month on the 15th of the month. So the total inflow is $2,700. Now the mortgage payment is about $1,400 based on a 25-year amortization at 4.5. Then insurance is about $200. We're seeing anywhere between like $120 and $200. And then property tax is about $150. So total out is $1,773, which leaves us with really healthy cash flow. So total cash flow is $927. $600 will be sent to you every month as cash flow. So you can do whatever you want with this money. This is cash flow from this investment. And then I take a fee of $150 each month for property management, which means we leave a little float of $177 in our joint account. Now let's fast forward 2 years to 2027. We've already agreed to sell the house to them at $352,800. We give them credit for their $10,000 initial deposit plus 24 months of paying $600. So we give them credit for this $14,400. There's the mortgage discharge, there's legal. We give you back your original investment of $63,875. So this is the proceeds from the deal at sale. Now let's look at the total profit on this deal. So appreciation we're forcing is 32,800. That's the gap between the 320 and the 352. There's been mortgage pay down over 2 years. We had some rental cash flow. We add these three things up and the subtotal is 52,000. Now, if we subtract our hard costs, we had legal upfront, we had land transfer upfront, and then we had another legal when we closed in 2027. And then as I mentioned, this came in as a referral. So I'm paying out a referral of 1,600. So the total profit on the deal is just under 42,000. So from an investor perspective, you were in for 63,875. On this deal, I'm able to give you a 22% return, 22% annualized return. So as this is a 2-year deal, we multiply that by 2 to get 44. And then to figure out your total profit, we multiply the 44% by the 63,000 number. And that gets us to 28,105. Now, 14.4 of that came to you in monthly cash flow, right? 24 months at 600, which means I owe you the rest of it. 28 minus 14 is the 13,705 when we close the house in 2027. So you're getting some profit every month, and then the bulk of it comes at the very end in closing. Now, in terms of how I make money, there was 3,000 upfront, 3,600 is 24 months times 150, and then I make the bulk of my profit at closing as well. This is kind of what's left over. So my profit is 13,773. So again, the total profit was 41,878 on this deal. The investor is getting 28K. I'm getting just under 14. So the profit split is basically just over 2/3 to the investor and under 1/3 to myself. And that's typically how our deals work. And if you want to see a little summary of all that, just on the right here, you can sort of see all the numbers. And one of the main things here is the cash on cash return. A lot of our investors are very interested in this number. If I'm putting in so much cash, how much cash am I getting back each year? In this case, you're getting 11.3% cash on cash return. So if this is a deal that's interesting to you, we are planning on moving forward pretty quickly once the approvals are done. I expect those to be done probably not Friday, maybe next Monday. So if this is something that's interesting to you, please get back to me quickly and we'll see what we can do. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.